That's better. Wow. Yeah. Should have done that test. I know what I did, guys. I know what I did. Let me just start this over. You guys are all friends here. Let me start this over. You're gonna like it. I came up with some good stuff here. Okay. Let me do it again. Hello, everybody. Welcome to People in the Boxes, episode 16. Where's my track at again? Oh, I took it away. That's okay. Episode 16, everybody. I'm your host, Waylon the Indoor Farmer. I got my shades on for tonight's episode, you guys. On tonight's episode, let's talk about the good, the bad, the our shared experiences with law enforcement. You guys, that should be a fun one, right? We're gonna go through a little bit of history and a little bit of some pointers and tips. But in tonight's boxes, first up, guys, we have our general, mostly always co-host, Mr. Jason from the 42710 family. What's up, Jason?
What's
How
going
are you?
on, Waylon? How you doing tonight, buddy?
Not too bad, man. I think I'm starting to feel like you were last week. It's starting to go down, but it's a slow decline into the cold.
Yeah.
My son's giving it to me. So
Uh,
how
you've
are
been
things?
taking. I recommend taking that airborne. That vitamin C, whatever. If you're starting to feel it already, just start popping your body full of that vitamin C, that 1,000 milligram tablets or whatever they are.
I'm
You
drinking
know,
I'm drinking vitamin C, but you're right. I should be doing something better than
yeah,
that.
a little bit of
Um,
airborne. If you're feeling it already, like you can feel it coming on. I recommend. That's what I recommend. So.
sure. Heck yeah. So otherwise doing pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, doing really good
Good, good.
actually. Doing really good. Looks like we got a lot of people in the comments already. Got some
Good.
people sending you some stars there. You got
Awesome.
Dale
I
for the
wasn't
50 stars. Thank you,
Thank you,
Dale.
Dale.
I
Appreciate
know he
that.
appreciates that very much. Kat
So
shared us out.
we got a
Hello,
couple more
Felicia.
people. We got a couple more people in our boxes, but before I pull everybody else up, I want to point out. I know my audio was messed up. I had switched to my different microphone for my other show, but anyway, I want to tell everybody if you want to come up, I strongly recommend headphones if possible, unless you already know you've been on multiple times and it sounds okay. Sometimes that's one of our biggest issues. I'm going to still let people up and speak their piece, but I'm not going to, we can't hang out too long if it's a terrible sound or audio. So, with that being said, I also want people to be respectful when they do come up on screen. Make sure that we're taking turns, and if you feel like you can't get a word in edgewise, let me take care of that as the host. If somebody's just going off on a rail, I will take care of it. There's no reason to try and fight them for airtime. But next up in our second box tonight, we have Mr. Stevo. Hello,
What's up,
Stevo.
Steve?
Hey
Stevo,
everybody.
you need to rep your group in that name.
Oh,
You see
I
how
didn't
Jason
think
has it?
that was appropriate, so I
No,
just
that is exactly appropriate for this show. That's
okay.
that is what one of the reasons I'm doing it. Because I want
Well,
you to rep your stuff.
yeah. I see that. I see that now because I saw
Sure.
once Jason did it. I figured it was okay. Yeah.
How is the group doing? Pretty good.
Yeah. We're getting bigger. In 3 days, I went up about 50 people in the group.
That's pretty good.
So
Nice.
It's not bad at all. Oh,
it's not bad.
one more piece of housekeeping before I bring our last lovely box contestant up. I do want to tell you guys there's going to be a lot of comments on this episode as we go through it. I know it's going to get intense, so just keep two things in mind. As people are telling stories, I want you guys to feel free to comment on that story or other non-related things, but do not go through the time to type out your story in the comments until later. I'm going to give us time towards the end of the episode to spend some more time on comments specifically and read some of the bigger stories. So try to keep a note or write it down or remember it for later if you can, because I don't want to just skip over you guys. I don't want to ignore you guys. So we're going to get to that later. But next up in our box, Miss Acacia,
Hi,
Blazing Blue.
Kasia.
Hi. Yeah,
Hi, Tia.
Canon Queenship changed over to healing, high healing, and so
Okay.
my name changed. It's no longer Spooky Stoner.
So is it? Can I ask about that? What is that? Is it which one is the group?
It was Canon Queenship, and they changed it so that we're now allowing men in.
Ah,
But it's a Cana group, really focusing on positive energies, They talk a lot about crystals, stones. There's some other stuff in there. You know, I do the makeup part of it.
That's awesome.
But,
so why did you have to change your name though?
Because they changed ownership of
No,
the
why?
group.
But you personally, why did your name change? To
Uh,
Blazing Boo. You know what I mean? So did it have to change? Anyway, doesn't matter. You just can't. You new group, new me kind of thing, right?
yeah.
All right.
That's it. That's the one.
Yeah. Good
I
luck.
like it.
Good luck.
Blazing Boo. I like it.
Thank you.
Good luck with that.
Looks like Miss Charlene sent you 50 stars too there, Waylon. So thank you,
Charlene.
Charlene, for the 50
Charlene,
stars.
amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah, this is one reason I'm doing that on my page or my profile tonight, because this is going to be a big topic. I just want to point one thing out from the chat real quick. Felicia says, agree to disagree. And then she says, sorry, wrong chat.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's good. That's good. I like it. Okay, so let me share my screen real quick.
Hello, everybody in the comments. Thank you for joining us tonight. Really good topic out there today, guys. Really good topic. You know, it's one that's actually in the news quite frequently right now. You know, it comes up a lot. Good cops versus bad cops. You know, it's crooked cops versus straight cops. How do you do it? You even got, you know, our liaison, our officers inside our schools now. You know, are they doing the job that they need to be doing? You know, so there's a lot. This conversation can get deep. Just remember, like Waylon said, keep an open mind. You know, people's experiences are going to be totally different than yours. Some states are totally different than yours. Some laws are totally different than yours. Some lawyers say something totally different than your lawyer. This is an open, friendly chat, friendly communication. We don't want any arguing, bickering, all that. There's no way that could happen. Well, you know what? It did. You know, so let's
take people at their word and then go from there and like say, okay, well, let's, you know, what maybe could have you done differently? Maybe what was an obvious egregious on the police officer side, whatever it is. And it doesn't have to be police. That's why I left it as law enforcement. You know, there's a lot of different versions out there. And I did want to pull this up actually first. It was the, let's see, here it is. FBI statistics for 2021, 2022. Just some we're not going to read through it all. I wanted to read this little spot here that gives you reasons for initial contact percentages. The most reported reasons for initial contact in 2021 were as follows. Because of rounding numbers may not add to 100%. Okay. Guys, if you don't mind, mute when when we do that, just because I'm not even looking at the screen. I don't even see the screen right now, so I don't know who's hitting the bong, but just because that way, honestly, I don't care, but I think Facebook's starting to crack down. Have you guys heard this? Side note, I guess they're cracking down. Anyway, so let's read through this. 56.8% involved officer responding to unlawful or suspicious activities. So that's kind of an obvious, right? And then 11 for the stem from traffic stops, which, you know, we see a lot of times where they pull you over for something simple, but you might have a warrant or something. That's why it escalates. 10.1% resulting from warrant served court. That seems high to me. I feel like that's, but hey, this is their stats. You know, I'm not going to agree or disagree. That's just what's on the website. The government.
What do you think they mean by warrant services, though?
This
is that, just not showing up for court? Is that, what is that?
Well, it specifically says the initial contact. So I don't know if that means it was violent or not violent, but it just means like the initial contact for well, maybe I'm not quite sure. Let me data summary, types of
involved officers stem from traffic stops. See, that to me just says that the police had to be sent out because people didn't show up for their warrants.
That must be yeah.
Or a court-ordered appearance.
It just wouldn't be a warrant officer, or not a warrant officer, but a what are the person that serves the warrant? What's that called? Oh, hey, we got another person in our box back here, guys. Let's give them a quick introduction. You guys all know him. You love him. Bean Dango.
Steve says, what?
Yeah.
You're doing more than growing a few plants if you screw with.
What's up, Bean?
What's going on, man? So were you talking about constables that pick up the people that have warrants?
It's usually the sheriff.
Bounty hunters.
Sheriff
Let me just address this real quick. Steve in the chat there. This isn't a cannabis specific law enforcement episode, but I'm not even reading. I didn't read the whole thing, but yeah, it's definitely, there are some ways to do things and ways not to. Bean, how you doing, man? Doing all right?
Doing well. Yeah,
Good.
how are you doing?
Not too bad. Is Ricky showing up, or is going to come up later?
I haven't talked to him all day.
Oh, okay. Well, he had said something yesterday, so it's okay. But no, this is going to be fun. What did I pull? Oh, that's right. The statistics I did want to finish reading them. Let's see. 7.6 were from medical, mental health, or welfare checks on individuals. And let's see. 3.2% followed routine patrols other than traffic stops. So just a beat cop, I guess. 2.7% involved follow-up investigations, and then 6.9 were unknown and unlikely to ever be known. Whatever that means.
They just show up. You're at the wrong place at the wrong time, and the cop starts questioning you.
Those are the statistics for general police interactions.
FBI, it says, here it is, hold on. FBI releases 2021 and first quarter of 2022 statistics from the National Use of Force data collection. So these are use of force, period. So all those statistics were uses of force. So then let's move to this next one here. Now, you guys, I'm sure there's a ton of different places you can find this. So I do encourage anybody, if you're trying to find local laws for yourself, you need to do more research. We're not going to go through specific laws and everything on this, but I did find this cool timeline. I don't know if you guys like history at all. Before I go into history, let me pull up our next box here. We have Miss Melanie. She's not ready, looks like. Or your camera's not allowed yet, Melanie. I don't know if I should pull her up yet. Yeah, I'll pull her up. She's fine right there.
It might be on only audio.
That's fine.
Hello.
She is. Okay.
Hello, Melanie.
Hi guys. Just audio.
That's okay. So let's see. I'm not going to read through it all, but it looks like it goes back to the 1600s in America anyway. Like it says, the city of Boston established a night watch in which officers stayed part-time and served part-time without pay. Isn't that crazy? And because they had to protect their town, right? And then in April of 1786, Sheriff Benjamin Branch of Chesterfield County, Virginia, died when he was thrown from his horse, becoming the first known law enforcement officer to be killed in the line of duty. September 24th, 1789. Right. I mean, but it sounds like just a work accident,
Yeah, it was. No, that was his partner that killed him.
Yeah.
Right?
He did
Top
too.
on top of you.
United States Congress creates the first federal law enforcement officer, the United States Marshal. Oh, so those were the first. Okay. 13 U.S. Marshals were appointed by President George Washington. So Marshal was almost like a governor, almost like as far as like state power and enforcement and stuff.
The Marshal had all the control back in the day.
Yeah.
When we see these movies, the Old West movies and things like that, you see the Marshal had control. It's not just something that they made up. It's kind of like our DNR nowadays. Our DNR has more control than a regular cop has.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, bureaucratic. Yeah, the up the chain where the powers. So here, you guys probably aren't surprised at this one. 1835, Texas creates. That's weird. Texas creates what was later to become the Texas Rangers, the oldest statewide law enforcement agency. Yeah, we probably figured that. 1857, Baltimore becomes the first police department to issue pistols to their officers. Oh, that's where it all went wrong, right there, guys.
Oh shit! We
went from Bobby cops with a stick to.
And then quick, the next one, 1858, 1859, 18... No.
Right. 57 was when that happened.
No more mano a mano.
Right. And then 58, the department Department in Boston and Chicago issued uniforms. Okay, so that's part of it. That's weird. Oh wow, so they went like a few years with no uniforms. Texas Rangers
like
probably had
cowboys,
uniforms.
yeah. No, they're like dressed with their cowboy hat and their boots, rode horses.
Got your star. Oh, you had.
Yeah, you got Chuck Norris, Walker, Texas Ranger.
Can wear denim. Denim is the uniform, right? Let's see. In 65, on the day he was shot by the assassin John Wilkes Booth, President Abraham Lincoln approves the formation of what is now the United States Secret Service. Oh, thanks, Lincoln. Okay. 1870. Graham, North Carolina, Constable Wyatt Outlaw becomes the first American or African American police officer. Okay, in 1870.
Wow.
To be killed in the line of duty. Okay, so he wasn't even the first officer.
Yeah, that's to be killed in the line of duty. That's
well, I realize that takes a turn, but at least that tells me that there was probably one before him, maybe. You know.
Yeah.
He was when he was removed from his residency by members of the KKK and lynched in front of the county courthouse. Okay, well, that's when you're the law, man. I feel like that'd be the time to fight back, wouldn't it? Previous week, Constable Outlaw had fired upon a group of men who were rumored to belong to the Klan. Okay, so the previous guy got him in trouble. His previous the previous guy in that office, previous constable. Jeez. Oh no, the previous week the constable Outlaws. Jeez.
Well, you got to remember too that members of the Klan were hidden at that point in time. Also, you know, there was higher ups in the government and in your police forces and things like that were members of the Klan at the time. That was the hidden society.
We got somebody with some feedback there. That's okay. I think it sounds a little bit okay now. This is kind of boring here. It just says Kansas becomes the first of more, or this guy becomes the first of more than 627 police to die in the line of duty. Police chiefs. So must have all happened at one time. I don't understand that one.
Yeah.
Probably 627 since then.
Oh, of only that many total. I see.
Yeah, so there's been more than
I'm a little, dyslexic sometimes, I guess. Notorious outlaw Billy the Kid kills 6 law enforcement officers in New Mexico. Deputy James W. Bell, Sheriff William Brady. I don't need to read them off. They're sure they were fine men. And that was in 1881. Also in 1881, later that year, looks like legendary lawman Wyatt Earp, along with his brother Virgil and Morgan and John Henry Doc Holliday, win the Wild West era most famous gunfight at the OK Corral. Okay. And in 86, let's see, 8 Chicago, Illinois police officers were mortally wounded during a labor dispute that became known as the Haymaker riot or Haymarket. Jeez, I'm not reading right. Matthias Deegan John. Okay, well, I don't need to read those either. See, 1890, 6 officers, the United States Bureau of Indian Affairs, are killed attempting to arrest the Sioux Indian leader. Wow. Sitting Bull. I remember that name. I've heard that one. Sergeant James Little Eagle. Sergeant. Okay. Yeah, okay. Those are fine men too. We'll just move on. Let's see. 91. City Health Department Inspector Marie Owens is appointed to the Chicago Police Department as a police officer assigned to the Detective Bureau. Becomes the national earliest known female sworn officer or sworn law enforcement officer. Wow. That was in 1891. Way after the first black sheriff.
And that's the first sworn officer. That's not even
sheriff. Right.
Yeah, that's not a head person or anything. That's a sworn. Wow.
Definitely learned something. The first national police. Okay, I'll, real quick before I keep going. I definitely am not looking at comments right now. So if there's anything like alarming, you guys, if you don't mind helping me out with that.
Gillian said that there was a replica gun brought to the high school today. Drug bust in a small town in Canada, 3 million in hard drugs.
Gillian's got them all.
Elisa doesn't understand why there's a power trip all the time. Why do they got to ruin good people's lives?
Okay, we can get into that. I like to look at it philosophically. You know, they're people. They're someone earlier, I won't mention the name, but she told me privately that whenever she walks by an officer, she feels a certain kind of way, like scared and kind of intimidated. And a lot of that, I think, is uniform. You know, I mean, yeah, like a man in general has a different presence. If you just have him in street clothes, he can also be imposing on a woman, obviously, by just looks. But yeah, you could also have history. I see Steve-O shaking his head. There's a lot of stuff goes into it, but when you see all the shiny and the uniform, like a lot of things are triggering in your mind immediately, right? I mean, I don't know. I'm sure there's more to it. Well, Steve-O, go ahead.
I was nervous going through TSA. It's a uniform thing for me. It's that authority, I think.
So we don't need to go through all this. I'm sure everyone's getting bored. Maybe let's skip ahead to the 1900s. How about that? I do like some of the old stuff because those are cops that we can kind of get behind, right? Wyatt Earp, we kind of feel like everyone, you know, is like, or maybe you guys like Billy the Kid more. I don't know.
I feel it wasn't as commercialized.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's something about that.
One thing is, you know, and as commercial, I don't know if commercialized
Corrupted?
is the word that I'm looking for. Because nowadays it's, if your dad was a cop, your grandfather was a cop, your uncle was a cop, your brother's a cop, you're expected to be a cop. You know, it goes down the line there. Well, if your grandfather was a crooked cop, are you going to be a crooked cop?
Right.
You know, more along the lines back then, it was one or two people in your family were a police officer, and then it was, you know, I don't know. It is interesting with the older stories, though. You don't see as many, I don't feel that you see as many bad officers or crooked officers pre-1900s.
Oh my God, you guys. We were just reading about the first. Go ahead, Bean.
I was just going to say you wouldn't see them portrayed in like novels and stuff, but I'd say that they were probably way more crooked back then because they're
more ruthless. Yeah, probably more like straight to the point, like just shoot you or whatever, right? Yeah, I could see that.
But that was the law then too. You were allowed to do that.
And that probably made cops less annoying because you think about it now, they do every little like annoying thing they can to you because they can't just, you know, go straight to that. So I guess there's something.
They're probably more willing to take bribes as well. Like,
that's interesting. That's an interesting thought. Was it better or worse back when the Wild West?
You know, with the bribes, that is a true thing. That's a thing they bring up.
Yeah.
Listen to this, though. Listen to this. We were all excited about the first female officer, but it wasn't until 1968. And let's see, we'll read their names. Betty Blankenship and Elizabeth Robinson of the Indianapolis Police Department became the first female police officers in the United States to work as patrol officers on the street. So it wasn't until the 68 that we had women on the streets.
When was one a sworn officer? That was like 50 years before that.
Yeah.
It was back in, it was in 18 something.
1858.
Yeah, it was 1891. Yes, 91. 1891.
So it's like 80 years later, they let it out of the street.
And then, let me keep reading that one. Let's see. The pair are transferred from administrative assignments after meeting with Chief of Police Winston Churchill. Wow. And asked to be put on street patrol. Wow. That's crazy. Thinking about Winston Churchill as the chief of police in this. What the heck?
Sorry, guys. I'm going to hop down, but I'll be in the comment.
Do you want to tell us any stories before you leave?
No, I'm okay.
Okay, no problem.
I didn't know what we were talking about at the moment. I hopped on. I don't have anything about Wyatt Earp. I'm sorry.
Law enforcement. What do you mean? We're talking about law enforcement.
I know. I feel like I don't want to be taking up a square.
Well, there's 10 of them. Well, go ahead.
All right, go on then.
You're fine. I don't care. You were excited the other day, but we don't have to talk history anymore. Let's get back and let's get into the nitty gritty. Let's talk about it. Who wants to tell their first story? Steve-O was chomping at the bit. He was the first one to ask me for a link. Let's give him the space. Let's go. Go ahead, Steve-O.
Well, I promise I won't go on forever, but I've been dealing with law enforcement here and there over the years and watching a lot of people deal with them since. Yeah.
That's all you got? Oh no, he froze. You
Um,
We're like,
He was excited to say it though.
Okay, you're back.
no.
Yeah. You see, they're messing with me right now, man. They won't even let me say what I want.
They heard you talking about them.
That must be it.
But
Okay, go ahead.
well, I mean, I can tell you for sure that, uh they were completely unregulated even in the mid 80s when I started dealing with them, to the point to where they were just ruthless. They could do whatever they wanted. And still to this day, they patrol themselves,
Right, but
everything.
let's talk about you. Do you have a story where you had a
Yeah,
situation, a good one? Let's try. First of all, I wanna try to. If you have a good story, let's try to say those. And then if you have a bad one, let's make it about something that happened and not necessarily like a part of the system that you don't like, or you know what I mean, like a law that you don't like, but like a direct interaction with these people, a person, not necessarily a bureau or a department. You know what I mean? And if you want some time, I can go, or anybody else can go. Um, but yeah, I definitely want to hear those real experiences. I used to, when I was in the military, we had people, what we would call in the basic training, you'd call them a barracks lawyer, right? These guys that would talk like they knew the whole rule book front and back, and they were going to just find every loophole and do everything. And that doesn't always work, knowing the law is definitely important, but it changes. And I did pull up some other stuff that I definitely we have to get to. This is really cool. How to behave if you get arrested. People might definitely disagree with the way this diagram goes, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But I'll just go then. I guess we'll just talk about it. A good story that I have. I guess it's sort of a collection of stories, but I used to be security at a hospital, and we had to work with police, on the daily, because obviously there's gunshot victims and all kinds of things coming in, and so then they have to be called in, even if there's paraphernalia on somebody, if they get wheeled in from a ambulance or whatever, and so we had to deal with them a lot, and there was a guy in there. This guy had to have been 450, close to 6'5". I don't know how tall the guy was, but this guy was enormous. And he decides he's going to leave the ER, and he had to stay there because it was some sort of a crime situation. It took at least 6 officers, and then there were, I think, 3 of us security that walked at least 3 blocks away down into the city following this guy. We weren't running after him. We were just sort of like literally walking with him, and the police were with us too. It was just the weirdest situation. They made their decision to actually detain him at a point when we were near like a big open area with grass, and it was, it made sense and nobody was going to get hurt. And I was in there helping to detain the man while we were trying to be, respectful of him. But of course he's trying to hurt you. And there was a female cop, and bless her soul, she was the littlest thing ever. She's trying to get his handcuffs on and just couldn't do it. And I had to let go where I was at, and I had to go reach up and grab her key and help her out, So that's, just a small story that I had. But, I have more. I just, I know a lot of people want to talk, and we do have Ricky here with us. What's up, Ricky?
What's up? Sorry, I was trying to do it on my laptop, but I'm computer
That's
illiterate,
okay.
so.
Oh, I see. Your first time? I get it, man.
Yeah.
We're on something called StreamYard, Ricky. It's a thing. I'll tell you about it.
See, the way to get on my StreamYard is I type in StreamYard and click join room, because I'm always in Beanie's StreamYard, so it's much easier that way.
That makes sense. It does. No, but let me think here. I have had situations where they were very close to. I've never been arrested, so maybe I shouldn't speak about much. But I know everyone out there wants to get out their anger about some time when they've been wronged, right? But I also want to point out like the good uses and the things that we need them for, right? But I do want to say too, wearing a security guard uniform in a hospital does not mean you're a police officer. You have an all white shirt on. Like, you know how many times people thought I was a cop? I have an all white shirt on. Like, yeah, there's a little badge there, but I look more like a fire.
Do you see a gun? Do you see handcuffs?
Right, like we had a mace can, but yeah,
Well,
like, people definitely mistake you. Go ahead, Ricky.
I'll say that cops, they kind of have to be dicks at first. They just don't have to stay dicks. Like a cop approaching a situation kind of has to be a little bit of an asshole.
Assertive. I would say assertive. You don't have to be a dick.
Like, but not a dick. But what I'm saying is they can't be nice. Like, they don't know. They have to. They're worried for their lives too. If every single situation you ever approached, you could lose your life on. You're gonna be like, if nothing else, antsy, and you're not gonna want to. But then what I'm saying is a good cop, it's up to them then to assess the situation and stop being a dick if necessary. You know what I mean? Like, you can't. I've had them.
I would see, like, okay, if everybody already hates you, right? Because you're in the. Why not come off a little nicer? I mean, you don't have to be a dick all the time.
No, I agree. I think, Ricky, you're not taking into consideration the escalation factor. So the cops are supposed to, and this is the smartest way to react to any person, not as a police officer or not.
Because
you match and you escalate with them if you have to. Who just came in the box?
That's how I interact.
I just came in the box, and this is exactly how I match my preschool children. Like, if my preschool children are mad, would I yell at them? No. My biggest thing is to de-escalate and remain more calm. More and more calm. As they get mad, you remain more calm. Just my suggestion.
It doesn't always work.
Saying that they should have to kill us with kindness.
Yeah.
Basically,
I feel
if you choose to be a peace officer, you have to overcome that dickness, and you have to kill people with kindness. Because it sucks. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not in the ghetto anymore. I'm not in the hard streets anymore. I'm not that life anymore. So I understand back then they were scared for their life, and they still are, and I can understand that. But certain situations, you truly have to kill people with kindness.
Yeah, let's admit it that it's not. I mean, there's definitely a lot of outside forces that cause both the people that are impoverished and the people who are tasked to go there and police the areas with low amounts of funding and all that. I mean, there's plenty of reasons why neither the criminal nor the police officer is at fault because of all these crazy laws and other outside forces trying to keep us. And it's not always everyone else. Obviously, part of my episode tonight, I wanted to sort of maybe pontificate on what I could have done differently in this situation or that situation. You know what I mean? I haven't been arrested.
You were saying earlier about the uniforms being like all that. I think it's more of like the interactions between police. When you approach a police officer and the initial thing you feel is fear, then they're automatically on the defensive. And the only reason you actually feel this fear is because the stories you've heard, the end table conversations you have with people, and like the character you created as cop in your head. But these are just people out there doing their job, but you've approached them already with a fearful, like.
I agree. I think
human nature.
Go ahead, Ricky.
I'm sorry. I think human nature is if every interaction you have is, whether it be like solving a fight or it's mostly negative. eventually you're going to start to get, and I'm not making excuses because I've had good and bad. I'm just saying in general at first, like you're going to get a little bit jaded to it. And again, I'm just saying initially, I think the way a cop is the way he is at first is because it's human nature to, like, if every time you ever said hi to me, like I said something dickish to you, or anybody for that matter, if every time you said hi to somebody, they were a dick to you or something like that, you're eventually, like, you're gonna stop saying, like, if that, it's hard to explain. It's hard to say what I'm saying. Like a rookie cop.
I know exactly what you're saying.
On that role, you knew that role before you.
So a rookie cop and a veteran cop are two very different things. Like they almost have to tell the rookie cop, like, hey, you can't be that soft, because niceness often gets taken for weakness. And all it takes, it could be that hairline of
bad training.
Somebody decides.
Yeah.
I agree with that too.
Right, hold on, guys.
I'm just saying,
what were you saying, Melanie?
Of it.
Oh no, I don't remember it.
So, but I know what you're saying, Ricky. I've explained this myself by saying this. When I see a random police officer, whether I'm driving, whether I'm walking, it doesn't matter. If I think at all that they are looking towards me, I give them a wave and a smile. You know why? Mm-hmm. It's exactly what Ricky's saying. If you went to work every day and no matter who you saw, they all gave you dirty looks and tried to look the other way and walk the other direction, it would. And to Melanie's point, she said that yes, you took on that oath, right? But does anybody really get told what their job is going to entail when they take the job? I mean, do you really get told all the real? You know what I mean? Like, there's this aspect to that, but I do agree with you still. That
okay, now say this.
Teacher Jenna has her hand up.
Everybody, go ahead.
Jenna has her hand up. Sorry, Jenna, we can't see you.
Well, go ahead,
Jenna. Can I say, just because I had my hand up, and that should be firsties?
I wasn't looking.
When it was some playoffs in my town, we had police on the streets because like the whole place was gonna get crazy later. So they were all our friends and things, and we were all like joking and laughing around until things got crazy. And then they like pulled some shit on us, and it was like, dude, I'm the same girl that's been out here for 5 hours. Like, what changed?
But were you? I didn't hear.
Can I ask how chaotic it
what
got,
actually?
though?
Yeah, what actually changed?
Like, there was people hanging from the streets and like
5 hours of
everything. It was like I was the same girl that came out every time on smoke breaks. Like, what changed of you, and like, why would you be mean to me? Yes, those people are doing that, but why are you being mean to me?
No offense to you, but he might not remember, because in times of chaos
me.
Like
we talked for 5 hours before it got crazy.
Jenna, were you drinking?
Okay.
Jenna, was this at a party?
Okay, that's what I'm just saying. Like,
drinking?
in times of chaos, sometimes you're reacting, and I feel it sounds like I'm sticking up for him. I'm just playing devil's advocate, but there are bad ones too. I mean, like I said, I've had very recently a situation with one that he assessed the situation. When you say chaos, I just didn't know if it was like things broke down and then he was just like kind of trying to situate him. But if that's not the case, that's all I wanted to know.
Right, like did something happen in that 5 hours where it got out of control or more,
Well, the whole situation, like I was in my bar, it was like playoff season and our team won. So the whole night we're out there, the game's playing, everything's cool on the street. And then our team won. So everyone came out from the bars, they're hanging from the lampposts and things. But at the same time, I was still out there with you for 5 hours. Like, why are you barring me in the teeth right now? You see the same girl that came out here the whole night. Why are you being mean to me now?
I think his situation escalated and he didn't know how to control it.
But I was just like, the same time, the whole night. I wasn't the person that like climbed up the light post. Like,
were you getting drunker? Like, I mean, I'm not trying to be rude, but like, did the mouth get different?
I was the same girl the whole night. yes, the town got crazier, but I
You weren't-
didn't change.
Yeah.
Right? And
I
then
think
he's
too,
like
maybe
mean
one of the
to me, and
problems
I'm like,
is,
dude, what the fuck? Like, we've
Mhm.
talked all night. So it maybe
Hi,
like
I'm
a
back.
mentality
I'm sorry.
of like they had to be tough to everyone.
Are you
I
done?
don't know.
Yeah,
My
Lou's on live.
internet went down.
It
Oh,
was
no.
playoffs. Haven't been in playoffs for a long time. We won. Like maybe it was just
What's
a
Jenna
stressful
talking?
situation. I don't know.
What are you drinking, Jenna?
A White Claw. You fucking know.
I know.
Okay, I got a couple stories
Well,
for
it's
you
like-
then.
All
when it
right,
comes to
Dale.
cops.
Let's hear
Okay,
it, buddy.
miking back out.
I'm ready.
Well, for one, my lifestyle and that has brought me into some pretty precarious situations, I have to admit. Been sitting in the clink a couple times. But I was brought in one day there and brought into this little fucking room with had a phone in it, piece of paper, write a statement. I had no statement to write. I didn't do nothing wrong. Well, I didn't do nothing wrong. Anyways, I started drawing pictures and calling all my friends on the telephone. The arresting cop came into that little room there and asked me what I was doing. I told him what I was doing. He looked at the piece of paper, it had fucking old doodles all over it. It pissed him off. It pissed him off to the point where I got the fucking telephone book. Do you know what the telephone book is? It's where they take a fucking telephone book and put it up to your head and start smacking it with a billy club. You know, I'm still pretty
That's
sour about that.
Alberta.
But here's another situation. A really good buddy of mine, really good, man. Grew up with him. As a matter of fact, his nephews were my adopted brothers. And his daughter's boyfriend was beating the shit out of her one day. He walked over there, and as he's getting to the door, he had a machete in his hand too, by the way. Two cops, two RCMP officers met him at the apartment door. They told him to drop the machete. He wouldn't drop the machete. They put two into his head and two into his chest. Why? He didn't threaten him.
And this is in Canada, right, Dale?
Yep, this is in Canada. Yeah.
Yeah, it is an interesting for us to hear about that up there, you know, because we think we have this whole, you know, it's almost like we think police are only here in America, you know, with our perspective on in the news, and we hear about stories like that a lot, where those get sensationalized, you know, and our image, it might sound like a joke, but my image is still like a Mountie,
The Mountie,
you know,
yeah.
so, yeah, you know what I mean, and
on a horseback with a fucking red jacket.
Right.
That's not even the worst. I was in Quebec in 1995. I don't know if you guys know what happened in Montreal in 1995. It was the biggest biker war in history.
Teacher Jenna
Bombings
has her
going
hand
everywhere.
up.
They were arresting anybody who looked like a biker at all. So, me being on a Harley,
Someone else has their hand up too.
man, I don't look like I belong in a business suit. Yeah. And their philosophy was, if it looks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it's a fucking duck.
Yeah, but we also think that
That's what I
opposite
said about
too.
Jenna's situation.
Ricky, go ahead, Rick.
Okay, I'm done, man.
I think going back to what somebody said earlier is the best point of it is about training, because a lot of cops they start as soldiers and shit, and you're trained as a soldier to be completely different than you should be to be trained as a cop. You know, like
Not all of them.
it's almost,
not all of them. Some do.
I know, but, yeah, but what I'm saying is, as a soldier, like I know personally like four cops, and they were all in the military. But I'm saying in there, you're trained to be like a killing machine. You're not trained to.
I would honestly prefer the cops to be soldiers. Like that means they have the right training. They have more training. The problem is
to be
lack of
former soldiers.
Yeah,
right.
The problem is lack of training. Yeah, retired veterans or
you don't
something
want
like that. Yeah.
right. You don't want our military to be our police.
No, not at all.
But,
yeah.
Right.
As soldiers, you're taught. As soldiers, you're taught don't discern between. If you feel in danger, take care of it. You don't want that.
Well,
I think
let me push back
problem.
a little bit. Let me push back because we actually did get rules of engagement, and they changed often. And those rules of engagement, 1 week could say that if you saw a bunch of people throwing stuff at your truck, to leave them be. And another week, it could say that it doesn't matter how short the person is. If you catch my drift, if they throw a rock the size of your hand at your windshield, take them out. Because they were killing people by throwing a rock, So they just changed week to week. Jenna, you had your hand up. Do you have
it's
a story?
Almost like.
Oh, go ahead, Ricky. Go ahead. Finish this one.
No, it's like they're almost like not. You almost have to untrain them, if that makes sense, to go out of that. Like, it's great that they have these skills if need be, if situations get bad, but mentality wise, it's really hard to. It's really hard to take someone out of a mentality, and I don't think that they are trained enough, and that they do spend enough time with that part of it, the mental part, and
I have an idea. MDMA,
how they, like you said, diffusing situations.
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. Cops get a controlled ecstasy trip or roll, whatever you want to call it, like once a month or once every 6 months or something, or mushrooms, whatever it is, but in a controlled environment with some sort of a witch doctor or something,
like an unwind or whatever.
Yes, I'm telling you, I think that would help them with a lot of their feelings of animosity.
Why do you say MDMA though? I would say psilocybin.
Ecstasy. They're using both MDMA and psilocybin and acid. Somebody has some crackling. Is there a fire? Oh, that's Melanie's fire, I bet.
I don't have a real fire. It's a light. Don't blame me for
what do you think the difference is?
It sounds like someone typing on a keyboard.
It's a light. Don't. I come on quiet. Bro.
What do you think the difference would be if you were made to live in or around the area you're policing? Not in necessarily. Like, if you're in Compton, you don't want to live in Compton, but relatively close. Because I know a lot of them travel pretty far too, and it's not really their neighborhood that they're policing. So
yeah, but you can't do that all the time, because then you'd have to force people to be cops in the area, because you'd have to have a certain amount of people to do it, and then if you don't have enough volunteers, then you would have to use force. So that's the problem. Like, if a department needs to fill their numbers, they're going to take anyone that's willing to make that drive and clock in on time. And
we have a town here. We have a town here that police officers and the fire people are the same. They switch off every 6 months. So you're a cop 6 months, you're a firefighter 6 months, you're a cop 6 months. Yeah, it's very interesting. I'm in California.
Huh.
That's awesome.
Now, when you guys get pulled over someplace else, so say you're driving through the ghetto, do you act differently when you get pulled over there if you got pulled over, say, in a richy, classy neighborhood?
I wanted to pull that up, but I lost all my tabs. Let me try and find out.
Because personally, now I've lived on both sides of the tracks, and my lifestyle has been on both sides of the tracks. But if I get pulled over in the ghetto because of me going to jail before in the past and being charged with things that I've been charged with, my hands are out the window as soon as I'm pulled over. If I get pulled over in a nice, decent, middle-class neighborhood, I'm reaching for the glove box and grabbing my license, registration, proof of insurance.
Okay, I'm never reaching for anything.
About the cop.
Yep. Sure. No, Melanie's got it. Look at this. Melanie's got it. Number one.
I'm never reaching for anything until they come up to your window. You don't move.
Yep. Number one, it says.
I've never had a problem with it outside of being pulled over in a certain locations.
Times are changing. And that's a really hard truth that we have to face. Is times are changing and policing is changing.
It just says stop, pull over as soon as you can. and then it goes to turn on your lights so they can see you better. And then you says crack your window, so I guess you can move your hand for that. Don't open the door, right? Looks like looks like you're getting out to confront the officer. But put down your window several inches. Put your hands on the steering wheel. This is what you were saying. Definitely want to just put them up on the steering wheel. The officer can see them when she or he approaches your window. Tell the officer where your registration is located and ask if you can get it. That is in my glove box, glove compartment. Can I get it? So this all
they're
like
saying ask or wait till you're told. Okay.
Yeah.
These are suggestions.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I want to point out, though, this does not mean that you won't have a situation where someone's just an asshole police officer, and none of these tips work or whatever. But you still should, give it a try. Go ahead.
I met somebody on Plenty of Fish many years ago. Don't even do it. It's fucking plenty of stalkers. That's what's there. But I went on the date with this guy, and I now know what sovereign citizen is, but I did not then. And boy, were my eyes open. This guy was just like, fuck the law. I don't have to do shit. I'm traveling. There is no law. I won't give my real name. It amazed me that like every time he drives by, he would flip them off and scream. Why would you cause that attention? Why? To me, it's like Jason, when he goes on his drives, he used to have his dome light on. No, it's not illegal, but it causes attention. And you might have a reason to not want that attention, so let's just not give them a reason.
Yeah, I agree. Number 2 says stay calm. It's natural for your heart to start pounding when you get arrested, especially if you've done nothing wrong. Okay, so that's interesting. Yeah, because if you've done something wrong, then you're already sort of like you're trying to put yourself in that mode. But it says, however, it's important to remain calm. By raising your voice or getting angry, you could trigger police to become angry in return. Maybe you shouldn't have. Maybe that shouldn't be the case, but I guess it happens. Calm yourself. Take deep breaths and hold it for a couple of seconds. You start turning red. The cop's like, "Are you all right?"
Cop officer's like, "What are you doing?" I'm calming. Wiki told me to calm myself.
You release the air in a scary way. You're just like, "Whoa." Are you all right, sir? Let's see. Speak politely. That one goes without saying.
So you don't just go, "What the fuck?" That's not how you
tell the truth. Oh, what is this? I don't know
about that.
My God. Where did you find this?
You always tell them 1 beer. Everybody says 1 beer.
Right.
You've been drinking just 1 beer.
You know we're all innocent here.
Oh yeah, except for that one time maybe.
Who?
No, him, her.
Allegedly.
I don't know.
Wow.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly they said I did something.
I wonder how old this is, you guys. We don't need to mention recent cases, but said riot cases from the one guy that says don't think you can fake a panic attack or another medical emergency. Yeah. So moving on.
Yeah. That's a whole nother topic, Waylon.
Yeah. Don't physically resist. So that almost part of the same, but let's keep moving it.
So here's where my son has autism. I have had to talk to him because we talk about recent news or whatever. I've had to talk. He doesn't do eye contact. He does not sit still. He does not do a lot of these things that we are supposed to do when we encounter an officer. So I've had to tell him to just put your hands up and tell him I have autism. I don't understand or whatever, and just let them know up front. And it's fucking sad that we have to do that.
But you know what's sadder?
I don't want him shot.
Well, yeah, but it's more sad though that they wouldn't just believe that right away, because anybody could say that, right? So that's.
But I at least want him to say it. I mean,
right. Hands up though. The hands up thing.
Hands up. Sit down. Whatever. Listen. Like don't walk away from them. My kid's a big boy too. So.
Avoid confrontation with other arrestees. Okay, that makes sense. If you got into it with somebody, you're both getting arrested, just try to ignore them. Let's see what they say. You might be arrested as part of a group. For example, you might have participated in a protest, been picked up with a group or of other people you might not know really well. It's important not to get into fights with them as you sit in jail. Okay.
Waylon, I got a couple minutes before I got to get out of here. I want to share one of my stories, though, because I have actually had a cop steal from me while when I was arrested. I got arrested, and he stole marijuana roaches. He stole. I had 67 joint roaches in my ashtray. I still have the ticket today that he wrote that on there, circled it. When I went to court for these roaches, the judge said, "So, sir, it shows here that you had 10 marijuana roaches." And I said, no. I had 67. Right here's my ticket.
I love that story.
And the prosecuting attorney walked over to me, grabbed the ticket out of my hand, walked up to the judge, handed it to him. They had a silent conversation. He said, "Mr. Putnam, please leave my courtroom. You are free and clear of all charges." And I walked out of that courtroom fucking smiling.
Wow.
And this is in 2003, 2004, somewhere right in there. 2004 is right before I got married. So it was, I spent my 8 hours in jail for possession of roaches, possession of weed. Wasn't even, it was little roaches. Everybody knows what a fucking roach is.
Yeah.
So, and I walked out of there free and clear. Done.
Wow. That's awesome. That reminds me of when I was really young, I had some speeding tickets. I paid a lawyer. The lawyer, they paid the good town of so-and-so, I won't say it. And then, a little bit of money under the table. Boom. I have my license back after 5 tickets. I was a young man back in the day. I want to hear from Miss Blazin' Boo. Everyone else is so excited. She is very patient, and I have to just force it and make her speak. Let's do it.
Well, I tried to, but then it was like 3 people at once, and then I was like, okay, just kidding.
Sorry about that. I should come up with a better system, but it's tough. Go ahead.
That's okay. So I mean, with a dad that was in the military and everything, he ended up becoming a security officer for Social Security office. And one day he was going to he was also doing like musicals and stuff like that after, so he was going to go do that secondary fun thing that he did, but he didn't have time to change out of his uniform, so he ended up and he was one that in the government offices you're allowed to carry a gun. They give you a gun, but he has it locked in a drawer that was under the passenger seat. So he didn't have it on him. Well, road rage happened with somebody. And my dad was arrested. They said that he waved his gun at him. It was still locked in the drawer. And he lost his chance to be in the CIA because he was up for it that summer. Because somebody took advantage of the fact that he was a cop off duty or whatever, security officer off duty, and who had a hatred for cops and ruined his life in that sense.
So that was almost a literal he said, she said, and there was no and there's no way to prove either one. You would think he would get the benefit of the doubt being an officer. That's crazy.
The guy had some kind of disease or some kind of mental thing that made him very sad, and people felt bad for him and could see my dad as a big guy. I mean, he was 350, like he was a big dude,
made assumptions
as a threatening person. So it made sense, but at the same time,
thank you.
he wasn't a dick, and he got treated as if he was.
That's horrible, Trajan.
There was a time where someone I used to live with was beating his girlfriend, and I called the cops, and they didn't do anything violent. They came, they took him away, they did a scare thing, and they brought him back, and it scared him for sure. But they could have handled it way differently. They could have been super unprofessional. They came, they talked to everybody, and all this stuff, and they handled that. There was another time where my brother's ex-girlfriend, she caused a scene outside our house, and she was arrested, and she wouldn't stop causing a scene that she got maced in the back of their patrol car.
Yeah, that's definitely at a point when your emotions take over and you just want confrontation, and it's like you can't think about that court date later on when you're chained from your wrist to your ankles. I've seen it, not myself, but I've been in a cop car, but it wasn't for nefarious reasons. I fell asleep at the wheel and ran into the back of another car. Yeah, I wasn't intoxicated or anything like that. I didn't get arrested, but I fell asleep like a few seconds before hitting the back of a car. I was working a lot and stuff, and they were very nice about everything. And obviously the person I hit wasn't happy, but
Waylon, you got anybody in the waiting room? Kat says she wants to be in a box.
Isn't it still pinned, or maybe not, since I had to restart mine? That's probably son of a gun. All right.
Sorry, Kat. I just seen that comment, honey.
Mia, my dog. Oh my God. Somebody want to?
I do have to get out of here, guys. I got another show that I got to get to. So
We got 2 more shows.
Great. I got 2 more shows to do. Wow.
What else? Oh, you guys doing this a separate one? I got you.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got to get to the.
Go ahead and plug it.
And then the Waffle House.
Yeah. Okay. You can plug it if you like.
I'm just telling you where I go. I didn't even use the full name. If I was going to shamelessly plug it, I'd have said.
No. I'm telling you to plug it.
Oh, then I will. Thank you.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Support 2710 Waffle House.
Oh my God.
If you're not a member, you should be. The current waffle is a sock. Not a pair, just one.
I think she
You
said
you kind of got muffled. Did you say a sock?
That's what I thought. That's
One,
sock?
not a pair. You only get one. I'm keeping it.
It's a portable dab rig.
Cool.
Yeah,
Gotcha,
portable dab rig,
gotcha.
pretty cool.
The screens are so tiny.
That's the name of it.
Oh, I got one of those. Yeah.
Interesting.
It's,
Well, you guys have a
you
good
guys
night.
have seen the Zenko. It's just.
Oh,
Great
Have a
night.
great night.
Oh yeah.
smaller. Oh, yeah.
Bye, guys.
Thank you guys. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Here. Looks cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, nice
Bye.
makeup.
Bye.
Thank you.
Melanie, the
What's up,
abuela.
everyone?
I just want to say abuela when
There.
I see that, What's
Yeah,
up, Kat?
so not too much.
Cat
I can
KS,
only-
you need to be like plugging yourself in that name a little bit more.
Nah, it's
K,
all
what is
good,
that?
you know. Yeah,
Who's
well,
Cat
it's
K,
session with Cat K. It's not session
go.
with Cat KS. It's just session with Cat K.
I always say Cat KS. I don't know why.
Because that's
I
my
mix- I
name on
mix the two.
Facebook. My name
Yeah,
on
too
Facebook
many.
is Cat KS because it won't let me just put Cat K. You have to have like a more than one initial on the end. Right now, all I can see. Oh, I'm zoomed in. There we go. Okay, so
I
yeah,
saw you
I
were
just wanted
posting,
to-
and I wasn't able to catch it all, but there were some fines and things I saw. Let's hear it.
So yeah, like I've definitely had some pretty bad experiences with police, like since I was only maybe 13 or 14 years old. It was usually I'd be in some kind of state back then, like when I was that age. I didn't know that I had like mental health issues and stuff, like what I do. And I used to go into really bad states, probably try to like run away from home or something like that. And my mother would call the police on me. And there was one time that they came in through my house and they were trying to tell me to get ready, like, and go to bed and all this type of shit. And I like went in my room and just had my door closed, flipping out, saying whatever, I was only like 13 or 14, and they barged in through my room, flipped me off of my bed, arrested me, and brought me into a fucking hospital, into a room by myself for like probably 8 or 9 hours, and had some like quack of a doctor come down, ask me some stupid questions. I told them what was going on, and they sent me home. And then another time, probably like a year later, I was like maybe 15 or 16. The same type of thing. My mother like called them on me, and they found me going out my road, like walking. And this big police officer, like he was fucking huge. Like I was only a small girl, and he picked me up by my winter coat, like picked me up by my side, walked me over like in the air pretty much by the side of my coat, put me down, like kind of not body slammed me, but pushed me up against the front of the canine, arrested me, and brought me home just because I was trying to like run away from my mother's house.
He pushed you on a dog?
No, on the
I'm
canine
kidding.
vehicle,
I knew
like
what you
the
meant. I knew what you
yeah.
meant.
No, the dog. I definitely would have got my face bitten
Like, can we
off for
speak
sure.
about this shadow that we? I mean, I'm feeling Alfred Hitchcock vibes from Beanie.
The shadow. What
Looks like,
what is that?
what is
You
he
look like
doing
you're
in
putting
that
something
shadow,
right. Yeah,
though?
it looks terrible. Hold on, move your hands back down. Move your hands back down.
And sit back
Now-
up.
Same
now-
thing happened
now
last
just
night. He
look-
looks like he's waving to you. He looks
Yeah,
like
no,
he's
it looks
waving
like
to you.
something else.
What is going
Yes,
on over
it
there?
looks
like a
bad.
Popeye-
It looks terrible.
It looks like a Popeye the Sailor Man arm. Like he
You
just
know
ate
you
his
are
spinach
on
and
live,
shit.
Bean Dango.
Yeah, that's his one arm. That's his one hand up.
Yeah, he looks like he just Popeye the Sailor Man it.
You could actually lift your hand in such a perfect way that it just takes up that shadow. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, and I only have one last thing. This what you were talking about. I was saying in the comments. When weed first became legalized, there was definitely a nice few occasions in the past that, you know, a police officer would haul up and they'd say my car smelled like weed, all that type of shit. And I'd be like, oh, this is all I got. And I'd give them like my buster, like a 5 bud or something, just so they'd leave me alone pretty much. And it always, you know, it went pretty well. They just told me, you know, go on home, that type of shit. When it first became legalized, me and my friend were sitting in my vehicle. She rolled up like a little joint, got it and smoked it. And she had her vehicle like hauled out in front of mine, which usually she never had it there. So we see the police vehicle coming in, but before I could even like move, he's in front of my car hauled up and he just like jumps right out and comes over. And I did something stupid. I like went to pick up the little thing the weed was on and try to just move it in underneath the seat. And as soon as I did that, anyways, like he would have seen it because it was laid right here on the armrest next to my arm, you know. But as soon as I did that, he asked what it was. I gave him it. Kept asking me what else I had. He was pissed. Like this cop was so pissed at me for having this little tiny bit of weed. It wasn't enough for a bong toke. I swear to God, it was like a few, like maybe like a 0.3 a shake. And he was so pissed. He was like, "Oh, like, you know, you can lose your license for this. I could tow your car right now." I was like, I didn't smoke anything. I was like, you can do whatever you want. Try to test me, all this type of shit. Like, I didn't smoke it. I was just, you know, telling him how it was type of thing. And anyways, he goes back into his vehicle for a while. I thought for sure I was going to get searched. He comes back with a fine and tells me, you know, he was just telling me off and telling me how stupid I was pretty much and all this type of shit. And when I find out, the fine was like $500 and it was for having weed open and ready available to the driver. And even though I didn't get a DUI, like I turned around and drove my car home and everything, like nothing happened to me at all. I got this fine, but my insurance like dropped me and everything because of it. Over like a flake of weed.
That's some bullshit.
We got
Yeah.
Jay Frost from Cannabis Corner with Jay Frost, everybody.
Hey, Frosty.
Ew.
Their medicinal license for that simple fact. Be like, listen, you're about to go to court. I'm a medicinal user. You could test me right now, and I'm going to go way over the legal limit every fucking minute of the day. You need to prove that I was smoking marijuana in this car. We're going
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Car smells like weed, yeah, because it's in here. I'm a medicinal marijuana user, a card holder, and registered with Health Canada. We might go to court. You can do what you need to do to prove that I'm impaired, but I might win because I have a medicinal license. I'm not a rec user with no fucking foothold with weed in the car getting intimidated by the cops.
Well,
That's why everybody in Canada should get their license. That's the only leg you have to stand on. Or let's say you're at home, you're blazing like right now. Some fucking asshole decides they're the fucking one that decides you're a bad parent because you're smoking a joint. You got all the dishes washed, the fucking house is spotless, but you're a bad parent. In comes CAS.
Well,
you have
see,
a
here's
a license, plus you're none of the things that's being accused of you. Then you have the leg to stand on. Your place looks like a pigsty, fucking la la la. Well, we'll go back to Dale's fucking example back in the fucking biker story. Well, if it looks like a duck, walks like a duck. So right away in these trying times of rec medicinal, if you really want to fucking stick to the government, you got to try and get that medicinal in there as well as your rec. And it really pains me. This is a little bit digression, but it pains me to see people like Remo and fucking Redbeard and fucking all these people that are legacy growers excited that they got their weed into the rec market. It's just weird to look at that. I'm not saying that they can't do it or that it's bad, but it's catch-22. Like you get into that rec market or that rec market, and all of a sudden you don't care about the legacy legal stuff you've been fighting for years. You know what I mean? And you can't tell me that that you do care, because people don't care about that anymore. Once they get a job in the fucking legal side of it, they have that extra foothold. Then, you know what I mean? So, but like for Kat, let's say, she just had to be told what she was to be told. That's it. She never had a rec license.
Well, I think
a $500 fine. You couldn't take it to court. You couldn't say, well, yeah, I'm allowed to have 150 grams on my person at all times, right here in my pocket. You can't do shit.
Yeah, if I would have had my time.
Dale was trying to get in a few times. Let's. What were you going to say?
When it came to Frost there in his car, it all depends on where your pot's at. If that pot's in your pocket, you're getting the fine. If that pot's in your glove box, you're getting the fine. But if that pot is in your trunk, you won't get the fine.
If it's
now
an
you're
illegal,
talking about Canada, though.
A legal
They
sealed
gotta prove that
container.
you were in the car smoking weed. They got to prove
Yeah,
it.
but you see, the charge is called illegal conveyance of cannabis. I got the alcohol version of it, and I don't drink. You know?
Yeah.
For the same as alcohol, it needs to be
It's
sealed.
basically the
though,
down version
meaning
is if you could put your hand on it, then you're going to get a $500 fine in the car.
Yeah. Mine was only $150 though.
Like, but you know what?
Weird.
How many cops fucking use
I
their
think
phone?
what they do too is
How many cops use their fucking phone driving by you, putting your family in danger just as well?
Or have their head turned, clicking
Type on the fucking laptop.
They have their fingers all over the fucking 10-inch fucking computer screen right there where the radio would be.
Yeah.
I've seen them turn on their flashing lights and go through a set of lights and literally haul up into a Tim Hortons drive-through or whatever after flicking on their lights and getting through like a red light or something in traffic, and then turning them off like a minute or two later once they made it through the parking lot.
That was always frustrating to see.
I live on a major road. When this light is red, they pop them lights on and run it and pop the lights off. It happens 3 times a day.
So, but my question is though, what do you do when you're and they're not the top authority, obviously, but no bureaucrat is like down here watching the beat cops and seeing that and going, oh, I'm going to get that one. No. So they're basically, there's nobody policing them doing that. So, and I can tell you from personal experience, when I had the use of the security car, which was a nice brand new fucking, I think it was a Ford, I forget what it was, but it had lights, it had a siren and shit. It made me feel kind of fun because there's a giant hospital, man. Like I could, nighttime, I had my pen with me, and this and that. It was all fun, but it's just, it's you start to get, it goes to your head. I think you're like, oh, I can go a little faster than I can go faster than anyone else can around here because I'm in this vehicle. But here's the other thing.
I think too, to Kat's story, I think the cops will just give you a ticket and rely on the fact that most people will either not fight it or don't know how to properly fight it, and will just give in and pay the fine or pay a lower version of the fine to avoid bigger trouble.
Just go to jail because
this cop
that's
was
the
so
warrants you were
pissed.
talking about earlier.
Yeah, I didn't want any further trouble. I just
so
wanted to take
they'll
the
throw a
fine,
ticket your
go
way,
home.
knowing that,
No,
because they get paid to go to court, and they would rather be in court than going out and risking their lives. Not all the time, but sometimes, you know what I mean? They get paid to be there. You don't get paid to be there. It's an inconvenience to you.
Unless you got
sometimes it can.
67 roaches.
That was a funny story for sure. Yeah. I have another story. Oh, I've been searched before too, and since I smelled like marijuana, I didn't have anything in the vehicle, and it was also. Here's the thing, though. This is one of the things I wanted to come up with because we were talking about how it sucks and everything, but I want to talk about just before it happened. There's a couple things. I was with a buddy of mine. We were on our lunch break.
Question, Kat, once he's done.
Okay, this was at midnight. We take a lunch break from work, run back to my house, have a couple bong tokes, and then go back. Well, here's the thing. I rolled through a stop sign, just barely.
Shit.
And this was late at night. I didn't think there was anybody around, cops or anybody. And I rolled through just enough to give them a reason, right? If you give them a reason, they can then look further. And so there are a lot of times, I would say almost every time you get into some situation, if you look backwards a little bit, there's probably something you could have done differently. Like, Kat, that weed was a little bit accessible for you, wasn't it, in the car?
Oh, we were literally looking through pictures of like painted rocks is what we were sitting there zoned out on my phone.
Not even thinking, right? Yeah. So that's what I mean. Like, there's little things that, it's a bullet back and forth. But anyway, I was searched, and we didn't bring anything with us. So after like 20 or 30 minutes of them searching us, they let us go because they couldn't do anything.
I got searched one time in the back alley by a cop. Really?
Whoa! That sounds like a different story.
A different kind of
Ross, you had a question, bro?
You just answered it, actually. I was going to say, were you parked or driving? Did they pull you over or did they roll up on you?
Yeah, I was parked.
He didn't pull him over. He bent him over.
I was parked.
No.
Because it's also, that's a different scenario again. They roll up on you. They can't say you drove anywhere. They can't stay until you drive away and know that you got weed. They can't say shit.
Yeah, but he didn't try to give me. He didn't try to give me a DUI at all. Like he wanted to. Like, he was in my face, like pretty much yelling at me, like, "I know you smoked it." And I'm like, "No, I fucking didn't." I didn't. Okay, guys, I didn't. But anyways, he was getting so pissed because I would not admit it and shit. Like, it was fucked.
Administrative rides, roadside sobriety test.
Yeah, he didn't do it though. He could have searched me and he probably would have had a better day, but that didn't happen. So it's all good. I'm glad I took the 500 fine and just went home. Put it that way.
I've never had to do a sobriety test. I almost got a DUI one time, and that's not because I'm white. It's because I was within a block of my house, and the cop was being like that nice. We were out in the boonies, and he goes, and I started to explain to him what was going on, and he stopped me. He goes, I forget how he said it. He was just like, whoa, shut up. I'm letting you out of a DUI right now. And I think, and this was the secret, you guys. I thought I was all privileged, right? No, the cop had followed me for too long outside of his jurisdiction. Okay. So there's a lot of little tricks and little rules that you got to know. If he wanted to, he could try and get me to just take it and not know. But I knew a couple things. He said I hit the white line once, and like he followed me for like many miles. And I'm sitting here going, I know this guy was following me over the bridge from a different city. So in my head, I'm thinking, I know he's outside of this jurisdiction, and he was, but we didn't have to go that far. He was just stopping me because that way he could sort of see if I was at least half okay and not like super fucked up, right?
Yeah,
but
if you
for
were,
the most
I'm
part,
sure.
right? For the most part, he didn't really have a leg to stand on. But I get it. I actually felt good that somebody would do that in that case because he wasn't mean about it. He was just like trying to keep to himself that he really couldn't, be pulling me over. You know what I'm saying? So it was.
When it comes to like the drinking and driving side of things, though, and I know some people would say it's like, oh, you're a hypocrite because you like smoke weed and shit, but we know that weed does not do the same to you as what alcohol does. But honestly, like, I don't know, I'm not someone that will stand up for drinking and driving ever. Like, that's some shit.
Let's not dumb it completely down, though, Kat. Some people can't fucking smoke weed and drive, and that's the people that we're worried about.
True.
Some people, like legacy users, smoke weed
Ricky.
all day long. Will test over, like we'll fucking blow that test up and not even be high, right? But there
Oh,
are
100%.
people that cannot handle their weed, but it's a different problem. It's the fact that these people are not smart enough to realize you shouldn't be impaired when you drive.
Yeah, exactly. The
And
impairment
these
is the
people
part.
are smart enough to realize, fuck, I just smoked 2 grams of weed. I'm not even high yet.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm driving to go get more weed.
There's a difference. Like,
Yeah,
Well,
the
we
I
impairment.
listened to your story, Dale, when you said fucking if it looked like a biker, we're getting hauled over. During that time, fucking anybody who was a hippie smoked pot looked like a biker.
Well,
So,
even I was in
here to here.
Longueuil,
Like,
Longueuil in South Montreal, when this is all going down, right? Yeah, fuck, man.
everybody smoked hash and was a hippie. Fuck.
Well, that's the thing, though, is they are what's it called? There's a few words, but the
Unbiased.
not stereotyping, but there's another word for
Profiling.
it. Profiling, yes.
Yeah.
Now, the word discrimination is not actually a bad word. You discriminate every day what you're going to eat, what you're going to put on, what you're going to, which direction you're going to walk to the freaking bathroom, right?
That's more choices. It's not
No,
really
yes,
discrimination.
yes, but you discriminate as to what restaurant you go to.
You're going on a different road for sure.
They're
on
very
that.
similar. Actually, I've looked at it before. We could look it up real quick. But
Use it for another subject. Because I'd
you
like to hear
retard
this.
a flame, you're killing the flame. Right? If you retard it,
right. So the thing is undue assumptions is what we don't like, right? But the thing about policing is all you can use is what you know when you walk up on a situation. And if the literal only thing you know about a person is what you can see, then yeah, I mean you have to go with. But the problem is that you can't make leaps from it's likely this is going on to, oh, I know it's happening because of this thing or that thing about the person, right? That's why it goes both ways. When you see a police officer, you can't just like, oh, I know that guy's dirty because he's a cop. It's like it goes both direction, doesn't it?
In a perfect world, it does. There's always.
If you act guarded to me, if you act guarded to me, and I'm not a police officer, and you're just kind of guarded and kind of, you're like there's a whole posture about somebody, not just criminals, but people in general who don't like police officers. You have this posture about you. That's immediately going to send nonverbal signals to me, even if I'm not a police officer. Maybe you just don't like me and you're in the same room as me. It's sending those signals like, oh, I'm picking up what this guy's putting down, right? And I think that has some bearing on it, right?
Yeah, well, for me, it's not even that I don't like them. Like, obviously, we need them in so many ways. They obviously help people every single day and whatnot. But for me, it's the intimidation factor. Obviously, from my own experiences and whatnot. But also, they know they have the power and stuff. And they definitely, 99% of the time, use that and intimidate in that type of way. And that's what my feelings are around them. It's not that I don't like them or I think they're actually some sort of thing. It's just like intimidation instantly.
So the first, they've obviously added this top definition with our current issues, but the bottom definition is also a definition: recognition and understanding of the difference between one thing and another. Like, you can discriminate between right and wrong because you know the difference. So, there are mundane. What?
You can.
You're just
go
funny.
into it. Another one is you can go into a situation with discrimination.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's the bad part.
Right?
Assumptions on that discrimination, not
And
like
at the
taking
same
what you see.
time, while you're entering that said situation, you may retard your feelings about something as to make an unbiased or a discriminative assumption.
Exactly. Now, like Crystal says here,
in the context it was meant to be used.
sure, and I agree. I think I think definitions matter. And when someone says, I don't know, I can think of an example, but there's a lot of things that get bastardized and changed because you say, oh, I hate capitalism. Well, no, it's actually that you hate the corruption that's happening in it. So what you hate is crony capitalism or corruption, all this. What like like real things matter. Like liberalism, I like it, but then that gets bastardized. I like the. I mean, not to be in politics, but I'm trying to think of another example. Like, there's a lot of things out there that, over time, you don't even know what the hell it means anymore because the name it gets used for too many different things.
Yeah.
But I wanted to pull up Crystal's comment because I agree. She says they need better training, different situations. They need to not act so entitled. Now that part, that's the part that's tough, is because you can't force someone to act certain ways, right? And until we become like mind chipped and stuff, and it's coming. There are some cops who are good and want to actually help. I've experienced both. Yes. Now, to your point though, that good cop after 20 or 30 years of the beat could end up becoming soured and everything. It's not a perfect world. I don't know how we could ever fix it, but I think each individual situation is what we have to just one time. And I don't know how it is in Canada, maybe you guys can tell me, but is it smart for you just to stop and say, I want to talk to a lawyer, no matter, like, answer no questions, respond no way, just no?
Depends. It depends.
Yeah, if
on
you're
the
getting
situation you're in. But I can't afford a fucking lawyer. I know that much, so I don't want to speak for anyone else. But if all of a sudden it's like you need a lawyer, but fuck, legal aid. I guess what is legal aid all about? Like, lawyer. Fuck, I owe $40,000 for school. How the fuck am I going to get a lawyer? So like, they just take me off the table right away. I don't know how many people are in my situation.
You don't have a public defender with all that?
Yeah, you have legal aid. I mean, I would have to go and be like, oh, I can't afford a lawyer. I need the one that you give me. Please give me a lawyer. Like, what the
public
fuck?
Defender? You got like Better Call Saul up there or something?
Well, you have lawyers everywhere. It's still a lawyer industry, right?
Yeah, there's lots of lawyers. It just means for
And
like if you don't have money to hire
as
one.
shady, if not shadier, than anywhere else as well. And like, there's a lot of. I don't know, it's a lot of shady stuff.
It's literally the profession that goes over the rule books, I mean,
workers' comp,
right.
comp, right down to fucking weed bucks, like weed fucking charges.
What about workers'
So much shady shit.
All right, I'm taking off there now, though, guys. I gotta get going, but thanks so much for having me up, Waylon. Have a good night, everybody. Kasia, Dale, Frosty, Waylon.
Thanks
Take
a lot,
care.
Kat.
Oh,
Special Cat KS or Cat K. Keep saying
yeah,
it.
you got it.
We got our house on over there, so we
See
have
you guys.
to be corner.
You got no reason for what, Frosty?
Being corner broke again. She didn't catch that on the way.
Yeah. Oh, she knows the area, I'm guessing. Yeah.
Yeah, I was born in Corner Brook, where she lives.
Well, man, this has been great, guys.
But WCB, I wanted to mention that you were saying something. See, I originally got hurt at work. I've been a union member for many years. I'm an oil and gas
you've been
pipe
fighting.
inspector.
You've been fighting for your rights for fucking decades now.
I'm ahead of the WCB committee for the United Steelworkers. So, if you got a WCB problem, let me know. I can help you out with that.
I know, for a real good friend.
Nice.
Never appeal, by the way. Never appeal. Ever.
So, my friend,
why?
I don't know if you know Fred.
Because
Fred, guy named Fred. I won't drop his last name, but
the appeal process is their rules.
Fred fell off a train fucking decades ago.
Oh, wow.
In northern Ontario.
See, I got my back broken in 3 spots from a 11 3/4 pipe collar.
I have a friend that fell. He's a steel worker, and he fell several stories into a bunch of rebar, went through his leg.
Dale?
What's that?
A friend of
You
mine.
don't play much sports then.
Oh fuck. Well, depends upon the sport.
I suppose.
The Canna Cup.
You know.
Jay Frost. Speaking of sport, Jay Frost, 420 next year. What are you going to be doing?
Just trying to stay
Big time.
Yeah, I know. I hear that for sure. Never mind. But yeah, I'm gonna try to make it up there. We'll see.
I used to.
I won't be able to visit.
Wheeler, be honest. I don't know.
Get you a place to stay, Frost.
But I used to have these crazy dreams of crossing the country and doing Cannabis Corner every night, somewhere different. And 420 somehow starting it in BC and coming back. But it's a whole new ball game now. Like we'll say after COVID, because during the COVID era, it's weird. We can define 2 years by calling it the COVID era.
Right.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
A lot of things changed for a lot of people. We learned how to interact online and, you know, different things. We learned how to not interact. We learned how to, you know, shop differently. I became a dad. You know what I mean? All this stuff is different. So the fourth movie
congratulations
is going to have to be, you know, put off and stuff like that. So like
we're going to go to Vancouver.
That's the whole feel right there in a nutshell. With all this little
That's 3 hours for me.
And quirks and wonderful new things.
Where you at?
That's 420.
Just south of Seattle.
Nice.
Well, I have aspirations like that too, Frost, and I think I agree that COVID's changed it now. Now that we're towards the end of this episode, that could be a hell of a topic. I know it would be kind of might sound weird to say it like this, but just let's talk COVID, or maybe, you know, something like that, to where we can sort of like remember where you were 3 years ago, you know, when things started going crazy. Would that be a topic? I don't know. We'll think about it. We'll figure it out. Anyway, let me make sure anybody in the comments doesn't have any stories they want to tell. Got Crystal here. I had the cops try to get a statement from me when I was completely hammered and barely coherent. I wouldn't have recalled the situation properly in that state. I said nothing, just that I wanted a lawyer. So they try to fuck you. I always say get a lawyer before saying anything. Well, okay, let me push back a little bit. Just not because I look like a cop, but because in this situation you said you were hammered, right? And complete and barely coherent. So if we could back Crystal up a little bit that night and say maybe she wasn't hammered and barely coherent, would that situation have gone the same way? And I don't need to know any more details about it, but you know what I'm saying? Like if you're using hindsight as a tool and not just something to bludgeon yourself with your mistakes, right? But you use it as a tool. You're like, okay, well, where did that night go wrong? You know, like I know a night where I happen to witness. I was at a bar that like 15 cops all busted in, kicking the door down, guns ablazing, take down this whole bar, and it's because somebody called the police department, said there was a gun involved in a fight. Well, there was a big bar fight happening. I was just sitting at the bar watching it, sipping my whatever I had, and they all bust in, and it was a little shithole bar in my town, and this big ass bar fight erupts, and then the cops show up, and the cops are trying to peel people off this bar fight. Well, the girl that I was with, not my girlfriend, but I was taking her there to see her boyfriend. We were just friends. And she was drunk. It's really, really, really inebriated. She's trying to reach in there and help her boyfriend. And a cop comes behind her, touches her shoulder to get her away. And she goes like that.
Uh-oh.
Not even looking behind her. She goes like that. And after the whole situation that her boyfriend started, she ends up in cuffs, hands and legs all cuffed in front of the judge. So stuff like that. Like if she wasn't so completely hammered, I feel like that would have gone differently, because I was fine. I was like, no, I'm staying out of this, you know. And then her boyfriend, who didn't like me and I didn't like him, he's being held by several cops, and they're putting him into the car, and he's yelling and trying to pull away from them, saying, "Waylon, save me! Waylon, help!" I'll never forget that. I was like in my.
You're like, goddamn, I wish I could help you, but have a good night, bro. I hope you're not too
you know, yeah, I wish I could, but anyway.
You're like, who?
Ricky.
Waylon. See you later.
That's funny. Joe says, don't have people think they should talk to cops because they can't afford a lawyer. The cops will not have you get the lawyer. They will just stop asking you stuff. Well, they might still try and coax you into saying something if they want. But yeah, I guess he's right there, Frost.
I never said don't defend yourself. I just said I couldn't afford a lawyer. Like,
but what he's saying is you still pretend, you still say, yeah, I need a lawyer. You know, that's all. You just say it anyway. So
you can get a lawyer if you need one. That's always an option. Don't ever say you can't get one, because why would you say that? Like,
well, that's what it sounded like you were saying, that you would be like, well, hell, I can't afford that, so I wouldn't even ask for
I wouldn't
one.
be able to afford Johnny Cochran.
No, but yeah, but I get it now, the distinction there. You still ask for it, you still go through that process so that they can't question you much anymore. Ricky's back.
I have a story about a drunken person with a cop. He used to be in another square in here. My little brother, Beans, back in his bad days, got into a drunken fight and got brought to my house by the cops. And he's wobbling, standing still wobbling, and telling this cop that he's a pussy and that he'll beat his ass. And the cop showed, in that moment, so much restraint, because all I was thinking was, man, if I was that cop, I'll pop you right in your fucking head. But I actually had to physically grab him and drag him into the house and tell him to shut the fuck up. But the cop was actually like laughing at him. Now, I get it. At that time, you know, my brother's harmless. He can barely stand on his feet. You know, this is at his worst. But I imagine for every one of those stories, there's probably 5 of the story that the cop took that opportunity to pop him in the face. But luckily for him, this gigantic cop just laughed at my brother, who's already gotten his ass beat once that night, and let me take him in the house and tell him to shut the hell up myself before the cop shut him up.
So I want to bring up something from early in the episode. Jason was saying, kill him with kindness. Well, I remember a story now where I was in the emergency room, security, and there was a gentleman who had been he was jumped, and he was under the influence too, and he had woken up after being beaten up, and he didn't know where he was, and he was trying to get out, and he wasn't allowed to leave because he had to talk to the police still. Well, he was right by the door, and that's where I was, and I wasn't trying to stop him physically. I was killing him with kindness, like everyone says that police should do, right? This is the quintessential situation. This man thought I was a cop for all intents and purposes, because he was out of his mind, and he was definitely thinking that somebody was still trying to get him. And I was just like, and they teach you where to hold your hands. You kind of where they're accessible, but not like, oh, so you guys can see me here. Like, so like you kind of have them, you know, on your shirt, on your, you know, not in your pockets, not down to your side, but kind of at the ready, you know, sort of, but also sort of looking like you're just chilling, you know. And this guy got right up in my face, and by this time I could tell there were a bunch of other guards behind me, like several feet back, really slowly, kind of chilling and kind of, you know, waiting to see what was going to happen. They all thought he was just about to take me out, but I just kept talking to him cool, you know. I was like, no, bro, we're here to help you out, you know. It's all good. We just want to check you out, let the nurses look at you, you know. And it was a long, drawn out situation, but eventually it ended with him staying there. I think if I remember right, they did end up having to like several guys had to, right as he was about to start to attack or something, that everyone had to fight him. But for the longest time, this is why I wanted to bring it up. It doesn't always work to kill him with kindness from the police officer's perspective. Like,
well, I think
go ahead, Ricky.
No, I'm sorry. That was my point earlier. When I said be a dick, it was a bad choice of words. I didn't mean be a dick. I think they have to approach every situation almost like not like showing you that they're on your side right away. They have to be the strict
Like you said,
teacher
assertive.
almost. You know what I mean? Like they can't go up as your buddy. They have to, but then it's up to them to assess the situation and then ease up or whatever, depending on what it is. But
This will make you laugh.
like to that
This will make
that point, I had somebody talk about before suicidal, and she had the cops come like 5 separate times, and she was like, the cops were really mean, and I was like, well, in that instance, it's not their job to be nice to you. It's their job to get you to someone who's to be nice to you. They just don't want to enable you by being nice, so you think that you're in the right. They have to almost be like, you know, good cop, bad cop. They have to be the person who's almost like not on your
Well, I
side,
would say
so you
neutral.
don't think what you're doing is correct.
I would say you stay as
If that
neutral
makes
as
sense.
possible. You don't, and,
Yeah.
and a lot of times they use sympathy to help you relax so that you'll start talking. You know, that's the thing. Frost,
Yeah.
what were you going to say?
Oh,
Got a
it's
funny one?
yeah. Back in 2004, I think it was. So beside this, I live in an apartment complex in London, and I work just down the street at this little bar called the Wick, the Brunswick Hotel. And beside my house, there was this market, and every year they flooded their big open cement pad for skating, like family, fucking whatever, right? So I was out there, and it was. I checked the hours. This market was open for like another 4 hours or something in the afternoon and shit. So I went there, brought my stick, put my skates on. This is back when I could actually put skates on. And there was one family there. They had a bunch of kids and the parents, and they're all skating. The kids were like passing the puck back and forth. So I'm like, oh yeah. So every now and again, the puck would fly over my way. I'd toss it back to them. For the most part, I just stayed on one side, like skating around, just diddling the puck a bit, you know. And like, all of a sudden, the security guard comes out, and he's like, "Oh, you guys gotta leave. You can't skate here." And I'm thinking to myself, like, that's complete bullshit, utter bullshit. The place doesn't close. The market doesn't close for like not until 9. That's in like 3-4 hours, right? And I'm like, what? Like, why?
Causing trouble for trouble's sake.
I don't know. Probably, I don't know, right? I don't know, and so I'm like, the place doesn't close for another few hours. Like, I'm not going anywhere, right? I live next door, fucking. So it's like, well, I'm gonna have to call the cops on you guys. And I was like, what the fuck are you getting on with? So here I am, and the kids were over there like playing, and they're like, Dad, I think you said we gotta leave. There's cops coming. I'm like, now you got some kids freaked out, like, because we're here. There's like literally 7 of us skating around, not causing trouble in downtown London. This is beside the John Labatt Center now, it's called. And I'm like, I'm not going anywhere, buddy. Do what you got to do. So I'm skating around. It was like 6 o'clock because my buddy Matt got off of work from wherever he worked, and he wanted to buy weed from me. It's that time, fucking back then, I sold weed. So that's how I know the exact time and everything. And so they got all spooked and took off. And I was like, no, I'm not fucking going anywhere. Well, 5 after 6 comes. Here's my buddy Matt, and fucking, I'm like, fuck, you had to come now? I'm like, God damn it. I'm like, all right, fine. Like, took my skates off, took my stick, fucking left. Me and him left. So I'm walking down, go home, and whatever. Take my skates and my stick and help Matt. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go down to the bar, which is literally fucking the end of the block where I work. There's security, and have a drink or fucking get some. What was that? Grenadine and ice was my fucking. I like.
Oh,
Fuck! Did you puke?
No, Grenadine and ice water. Loved it, and fucking. So, I crossed the street, and lo and behold, there's a fucking paddy wagon across the way. I'm like, son of a bitch, right? Over playing hockey. Seriously, right? So I never had anything on me or nothing like that, cash, or I changed into my warm pants and no skates, no nothing like that. And so Matt went on his way. Fucking, I had to walk one block, and I could see the two cops walking. They just took the corner. They were at the end of the block. I was halfway, and I was like, I look back, and I'm like, God damn it! You get that feeling, right? And I was just like, I fucking threw them both up. And I was like this here, and I just kept walking to the fucking bar. Sits down at the bar. My buddy Jamie was working. Like, I have a grenadine and ice, man. Just as I sat down like that, he won't be needing that. I'm thinking, fuck. Right? So I stand up. I don't get my drink. Jamie's like, what's the problem? I'm like, man, I was at this ice rink. And security guard told me to leave, and I told him to fuck off. Then I came here for a fucking glass of grenadine. Literally, what happened? And fucking on the way here, I seen the cops tailing me, and they're like, "Come with me." And I was like, and so I started walking out, right? And I was like, so I gave him the fucking finger as I was walking here. That's the whole story. Amy right there, because he knows I wouldn't fuck the story up. You know what I mean? Like, and so, anyways, put me in the fucking paddy wagon. I'm in the paddy wagon, so I'm like, you son of a bitch. I started kicking the back of the fucking door. And he's like, I could hear him talking to my buddy Jamie, right? And I wasn't drunk or high or nothing like that. I was just pissed off. So I'm like, you motherfuckers. Like, and it's like, see, this is why he's in the back of the paddy wagon. See? And I'm thinking, like, what kind of bullshit is he telling Jamie out there now? Like, and then I was looking through the window. You can see through the little window of what they're typing. And I started seeing, you know, like, any accomplices hit enter or fucking start their program, runs their thing or whatever. And, like, must have been 12, 15 names come up, like, known accomplices or whatever. I'm like, why I got a known accomplices list? Fuck is that all about? I never done nothing in my life. Like, stole a chocolate bar when I was fucking 18 and I got a list. Honest to fuck, there was like 4 or 5 names on there. I was like, who are those people? I don't even know who those people are. So fast forward.
Frosty the Snowman.
Fast forward to like 2 years ago. We took a trip to St. Anthony where the Vikings are. Me and the wife. We're eating Tim Hortons, parked in the middle of fucking nowhere. Viking land in the middle of nowhere. Just after having a big dab. Right? Blew out the big cloud of smoke, gets out the car, looks. I'm like, oh my God, the RCMP standing there. Just just like that. Never seen a fucking thing.
Were they on horses?
You wouldn't see fucking flies like fucking, and all of a sudden in the middle of nowhere, it's cops.
Were they on horses with big red coats?
No, but on their car was horses. You're fucking close.
That's funny. All I want to see are Mounties.
I'm talking to them because obviously they asked your name, right? And in the jigs and reels at all, because they knew fucking everything was cool, they said, you know, there's a guy using your name out west. Like you're wanted out west. Fucking, and like some Asian guy, though. We know it's not you. You should probably look into that. And I'm like, what the fuck?
You should probably look into that.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, whatever. I go on about my day. Like, that's fucked up.
Should take his name, man.
I will say something about your story reminded me of something, though. When the guy said, I'll call the cops, it always reminds me of, so growing up, I grew up in the city, like the hood. Like my nickname, those neighborhoods I grew up in,
Cutting out a lot, bro.
of the times, like my friends' parents would say, like, if you don't finish your dinner, I'm going to call the cops. So they put that.
Ricky.
Is that him? He's like, we can't really.
Yeah, you're.
Cops are there to come.
Mm-mm.
See, I fill in the
And
blank.
if like the smallest thing, I think that's semi a problem too. Like using.
Wait, what?
You're cutting out real bad. Can you hear
In
me?
the sentence it's forming.
I can hear you now.
That's really funny.
A lot of what you were saying was spread out very far. Sorry, bro. Trust me, I
Sorry.
literally went off. I
About
actually
that.
went offline.
I told
while
you
this
my
was going
internet
on,
is.
so I have
My
the same
internet's
issues. I have good internet. I literally ran a cable all the way to directly to my router so that I wasn't on Wi-Fi just in case. And it just did a reset on me midstream. I'm like, fuck. Everything was still live except me. Anyway, so maybe
It's funny you guys were clear until the moment I started talking. My internet was like, nope.
Well, that's because you're sending more packets instead of receiving them.
Yeah.
The upload is the tough part. So I think you seem a little smoother. Do you want to start over?
Well, no. What I was saying is, in the neighborhood I grew up in, a lot of the parents, like for the little kids, were like, "If you don't finish your dinner, I'm going to call the cops," and that's always a bad. If you start out from that in a bad way, like you're going to approach like shit, man. Like they're there to punish me, not to serve and protect, which again sometimes is true, but
I
that
agree.
can be a problem too. Using them as the boogeyman early
I thought about
is
bringing that
not
up earlier. Yeah.
True.
All we can control on our end is how we approach a situation. So
I actually had that happen to me, bro. When I was in security again, I was in the elevator with a lady and her little boy. I'll smile at the kids. I go out of my way to be nice to the kids and stuff because I know people look at you like you're a cop, even though you're not. Again, white shirt.
Yeah.
That's a fire marshal. Anyway, so the lady goes, "Don't talk to him," or don't. I forget how she put it, but she like basically wanted her kid to cower away behind her, away from me, like be scared, And it's just that I saw it firsthand. I thought, well, it's similar to how we say hate is taught and all of that, the whole generational teachings of bigotry and everything that also happens to any I had the word. I don't know what the word was I was thinking, but you know what I'm saying.
To any group, to any like group of people.
But yes, I think
With that being said, they don't do themselves favors either. They don't do themselves any favors.
I agree.
Either,
we as adults, we have had enough direct interactions that we form our own opinion. But as growing up as a child, yes, if you're being taught one thing or another enough, you will have this sort of this little seed in the back of your mind. And sometimes you can break out of it, and sometimes you can't. But guys, with that,
but even as adults,
basically, say again.
Even as adults, sometimes there are things that I just never thought twice about, right? And then I actually think about them for a minute. I'm like, fuck, like I've been lied to. Like, I'm 36 years old, and there's sometimes something will come up. Like, I never really thought into that. But like, my mom she pulled the wool over my eyes, and but you never really think about it. So sometimes, if you have one negative interaction, it solidifies that boogeyman status, and then it's hard to change that ever. But again,
I agree.
It's on them as well. You can't, like I was saying, if a cop is standing there with his arms crossed and a fucking scowl on his face, he's not approachable. That's his fault, kind of. You're putting people off. So it's not saying like, oh, cops are great, trust them. Not really. I'm just saying it's a case-by-case basis, just like any situation, I think.
Yeah, that's where attitude reflects attitude, right?
Posture, attitude. Yeah.
A big problem now is like extremes are the only ones that get seen. So the extreme situation in any situation are what gets seen, especially on the internet and stuff. So it's easy to form an opinion based on that. Like I said, like I don't smoke weed. Like I'm not a pothead, but I love potheads. Like I've grown up with them my whole life, but you know, as a non-smoker, you know, my whole life you get told like these people are lazy, blah blah blah, but it's really not that. Like I was telling everybody, my mom smoked every day before work just to deal with people, but because a few people back however many years ago were a certain way, like that was the narrative, and it's so hard to overcome that because it's so easy to just pile on. So changing any narrative about any group is not impossible, but it's pretty hard to do.
Well, you know how we talked about words and how they want to, like, people want to change what it means, and then eventually you don't know what it means. So there's a big movement, and we're gonna wrap things up here in a minute, guys. But there's a big movement politically in our country to do this thing called defund the police, right? But what you don't know from that little slogan is they have this idea that they want to replace them with like social workers.
Yeah.
And so what are you going to end up having eventually? Armed social workers, right? After enough of them get killed from like, you know, trying to be nice or whatever. And then you end up with something not a call to police anymore, but a whatever it ends up, you know, the black booted, you know, fucking whatever it is, the federal arm. And they're also trying to federalize police forces here. If they federalize police forces, that is going to be real bad for all of us. So that's something we need to fight against. But I'm glad we got perspective of like Canada and a little bit of all over the U.S. So that's been cool too. Even the kiddies' perspective there. Look at that! Look at the sheen on that coat. It's just, oh wow! Is that blue or purple? Like man, I feel like I'm staring into a lake in the middle at midnight. You know, it's crazy. But Jay Frost got to get out here for sure. We'll let him out of here first. And as we wrap things up, Cannabis Corner with Jay Frost. You guys, if you didn't know, in the first 10 minutes, I'm doing sharing out and I'm getting things ready and stuff. That's why I do that timer, and that's Jay Frost music that we're playing. I don't remember which song that was. Yeah, I saw you post something when you first came in about it. You said, but anyway, yeah, that's who I'm playing these days. But yeah, we'll let you out of here, bro. You're gonna go do your show now, you said, or?
No.
Oh, just something. Gotcha.
Help with some make a way, play GTA, and probably change a bum.
Yep, got the baby to take care of. That's awesome.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen his video yet, Jay Frost video on Party in the Sock Drawer, check it out, man.
Go ahead.
Party in the Sock Drawer on YouTube and Party in the Sock Drawer remix, I believe, on YouTube. One of them's a puppet video, and the other one is my very first video on YouTube. Party in the Sock Drawer.
Oh, I remember it. It's pretty cool, man.
So Dale, we did a PITB on musicians and music in general, and like how music is important, and even if you're not a musician and stuff. And I did a little interview. We talked to Frosty about that, and I think we played a couple. I think we played that one. I think we played your first one, and we played something else, like whatever. I forget which one it was that you liked the best. That was like the most influential like video that you shot. But anyway. It was good. It was
probably make some noise. Probably.
I think that's right. Yeah. Appreciate it, you guys. Anybody else want to shout something out before we roll out? That's good. Got.
I'll say one last thing. I'm sorry. I'll say it just popped in my head. I'll say like a lot of everybody, like a lot of people who have been like wronged and mistreated. You can't really control that, but you can control how you react to it. And your reaction can really say a lot. I mean, and can help you in the future. Like, you know, like he was saying how he kicked the door and stuff. Not to say that's wrong, but what I'm saying is that then tells them that they were right. So all you can really do is control how you react to a situation and show them that they're wrong. Don't prove to them that they were right by doing that thing, if that makes sense.
Well, not reacting is an action. No action is an action, and that's
we're going to be sometimes. We're going to be wronged, you know, so many times in our life. But if you choose to lash out, then all that's doing is showing them that they were correct in doing that. Because even if you did nothing, now that shows them you were going to do something. So Like you said, a non-reaction is a reaction, and it's the harder reaction. I mean, damn near impossible sometimes, but in the end, it's probably the one that will serve you better.
I consider that situational. If the cop's so wrong that it's absolutely clear as day, my attitude turns to not Mr. Nice Guy, right?
Right. When you know you have a leg to stand on, and at least not getting into confrontation wise, but you mean like legally, they're doing something unlawful. But to his point though, Dale, you maybe you pick up on he's doing something unlawful, and you could win in court. Then that should calm you down more so than like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, I'm good. I got this. You know what I mean? Right.
And you never know when somebody's going to click record on that camera. So you could look like the dick because they start recording right when you react, right?
Right.
So according to them now, they're recording. It's like if somebody punches you and you hit them back and they only ever see you hit them back, it doesn't matter that he hit you because nobody saw that, right? So now you look, court of public opinion is a big thing too. Like, a lot of times reaction is what gets noticed more than the action, because now people are paying attention, and then your reaction ends up being the story, not what caused your reaction.
I recommend recording too. I recommend if you have enough time, if you're being pulled over, just record the conversation. If you can throw
because if they have a problem with it,
nearby,
then there's a problem.
Yeah. Well, all right, everybody. I think I've been talked to death, and I like this panel we had tonight. It was great. Go ahead, Dale.
Well, before we take off here, thanks, Waylon, for hosting this discussion. It was extremely therapeutic.
I try to learn something every time we do one of these. Every week we do them at this time, 2 hours ago. But this went longer than they usually do, so I like that. It means it was good. It's tough finding the right time slot because I know a lot of the Canna fam overlap on other groups and other live streams and stuff, so I can really appreciate that. But if I can be shameless for a minute, we got 9 people left. I would like to shout out our YouTube channel, you guys. It's not super easy to find because I haven't gone through the trouble of getting a specific channel name yet. It's just it's like one of those, like a long fucking address. But if you type in the title, just PITB, EP, number sign, whatever, we're up to 16. But if you type in the title, you should find it on YouTube. So if anybody out there has a YouTube channel and they want to go subscribe, we got 6 subscribers. I would really love to see at least some of the people that have been in the boxes to go subscribe on the YouTube channel, because we've had probably at least 30 to 40 different people in the boxes on these episodes. So that would be cool. But if we can get YouTube to explode, then I won't have to worry so much about the time schedule on Facebook. That just happens to be where most of our viewers are happening right now. So if I can get ourselves diverse a little bit, then the what's the old saying? The clam's your oyster or something. Anyway. You guys appreciate it. Everybody have a great night. If you have any questions or further, you too. What'd you say? You said have a great night?
Yeah.
Thanks, KJ. I appreciate it. I still love the hair. Are you going to change it anytime soon?
No, I actually just changed it again.
Oh, got you. Oh, so what did you add? Some? Because I know it was pretty
more red.
I see. I'm going to say it was pretty bright before. Awesome. Appreciate it. Okay, guys, if you have any other comments on the subject, feel free to put them into the video. I'll still see them, and I'll respond accordingly. And if you want to get a hold of me directly, that's great too. And let me know if you have any ideas for future topics. Definitely want to do something interesting, not always negative, not always, serious either. So, all right, everybody, with that, thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks.